My name is Darlene Gamble, and I am with the Anne Arundel Conflict Resolution Center. Today, we're going to be talking about reflective listening tips. I want you to take a few minutes and look at this picture and tell me, what do you see? When you look at this picture, you may see a horse or you may see a frog. What I want you to take away from this is what conflict looks like. Two people can come to the same situation but have two totally different opinions about what the situation is about. In this instance, it's a horse, it's a frog. How can you communicate what you see to the other person without arguing about it, but sharing your insight as to what it is you see? And when you come to a conflict, everybody has an opinion, but today we're going to talk about reflective listening and how you can listen to the other person and try to figure out what it is they're focusing on. Reflective listening is a way to allow someone to express themselves and tell you what it is that they feel, what they want, and what's important to them. And there are different ways to approach reflective listening, but a few things you need to think about is how you say things. You need to listen to what's being said and not think in your head how you're going to argue your point. Just listen to what the other person is saying so that you can reflect back or share what you think you heard the person say. So we have a few reflections that we use from time to time. One of them is you can repeat exactly what you heard the person say, or you can repeat back what you think they're saying and what you think they feel and what you think they want. We may miss the mark, but that's okay. But at least you're letting them know that you're trying to understand what it is that's important to them, what they're feeling at that moment, and what you think they just shared with you that's important to them. When you're doing reflective listening, do not include your opinion. Statements like you always say, or you did say, or something like that's not true. That's not a part of reflective listening. That's being positional. So, what we want to do is open the space to allow them to share what it is they're trying to communicate to us. When we do reflective listening, we have what's called distancing phrases. And what that is put space between you and the situation so that you don't feel attacked by what's being shared. The phrases that you can use, and I want you to start thinking about these so that you can incorporate them into your dialogue when it comes to conflict. Reflective listening, you would say to the person after they've shared with you what their opinion of the situation is, you would say, what I think I hear you saying is, and then you share with them what you think you heard them say, what you think they're feeling, and what you think is important to them. You can also say, it sounds like, and then again, you go through what you think they said, what's important to them, and what they're feeling. You can also say a phrase like, are you saying? Or you can use a phrase that says, I hear you saying. And if you look at these phrases or listen to these phrases, it gives space for open communication. It's not positional and it's not locking a person out. You're trying to open up space so that you can give that person an opportunity to share with you as you listen what it is they're trying to communicate to you. When we do reflective listening, we also have what is called check-in phrases. And the check-in phrases gives us a time to pause and make sure before we get too far along in the discussion that everybody's on the same page. So after someone shares with you what their conflict is or what their concerns are, you would use a phrase after you say, I think I heard you say, when you go through what it is you think they said, what you think they were feeling, and what you think is important to them, then you would say, is that right? to bring clarity around what you think is being communicated. You're asking, did I get that right? And then you want to know, is that what you were saying? So that at this point, if you missed a bit of what was being communicated, now is the time to talk about it so that you don't get too far into the discussion and you get things all mixed up. So you do these check-in phrases periodically to make sure everybody's on the same page. Now, I am going to do a role play, and I want you all to listen to what's being said and think about what I'm feeling, think about what's important to me, and think about what it is I'm trying to communicate. So let's begin. I think everybody around here should be more responsible. I don't live in this community alone, but when I come home, I'm the only person cleaning up the trash on the sidewalks and in the streets. Do we live in a pig pen community? I work all day and still have to come home and pick up trash outside my house, your house, and several other neighbors' homes. I'm cleaning up stuff I didn't mess up. Everyone in our community is grown and old enough to know better. Evidently, y'all weren't raised right. I'll be darned if my kids learn these bad habits. I teach my children to clean up after themselves and not leave trash outside. Unless I come home and play the bad cop, nothing gets done in our community. Now, when we think about the rant that you just heard, what do you think this person wants? How are they feeling? And what do you think they value? Let's hear some of your ideas and suggestions. So, listening to the script, we can say to the individual who just had shared their experience, it sounds like you're feeling fed up and that cooperation is important to you when it comes to neighborhood cleanup. Is that right? That's what we call a reflection. We've identified what we think the person is feeling. We identify what we think a value is for them, and we've identified what we think is important to them, or what we call a topic. So as you're listening to someone share with you, these are the things you want to try to filter through your mind. What are they feeling? What do they value with what they're saying? And then what is important to them about what it is they're saying? Now, I want you to reflect back on the role play and think of some other feeling words. You could have said, sounds like there was anger, sounds like there was some, we did use fed up. The person could be feeling overworked, discouraged, sad. So there are lots of feelings that could be pulled out of what was said, and it all depends on the individual to say, yes, that's how I felt, or they may even tell you, no, I didn't feel sad. I felt overwhelmed or something like that. So even if they disagree with the terms that you use, at least they're communicating to you what it is they felt. Then I want you to also think about values. Can you identify any values that the person shared in their reflection, in their role play? What was important to them? Responsibility, neatness, cleanliness, fairness. There are lots of values that were important to this individual. So when you think about what was being shared, it wasn't that they were attacking anyone, it's what they were feeling and going through, because these are the things that are important to them. Neatness is important, cleanliness is important, fairness is important to them. So they're trying to express that and not be attacked by the way they feel. Now, I want you to give it a try and identify what you think the person was feeling, what you think they value, and then what's important to them. What's a topic that you can walk away with from that reflection? My name is Darlene Gamble, and I am with the Anne Arundel Conflict Resolution Center. Today, we're going to be talking about reflective listening tips.